Hey everyone, Gilted here. Look, you're gonna have to deal with, my Homer Simpson look. I've got 3 hairs and then a kind of a thin line, right? I have misplaced my hat. I have no idea where it's at. Anyways, I got something in that I'm going to do a little bit of work to. But, yeah, it's a Krag Rifle, right? Now, most of you sit here and immediately think Craig Jorgensen, 3040 Krag, U.S. Cavalry, all that fun stuff, right? This one's not it. Now, I've got the bolt removed because, like, the front sight here kind of gives it away. And then back here in the back kind of gives it away with this little guy, right? And then your loading gate flips forward. And then here's the bolt, and we're going to come back to it, but you need to look at back here. Have you figured out what it is yet? This is a Danish Krag. Okay, so this one is still chambered in the 8x58 rimmed. Customer states that he bought it off of an individual and wanted me to just kind of clean it up, that kind of thing, because he was going to get ready to shoot it. Well, those of you who had a really keen eye when I flipped open this loading gate, boo, that's rust. Boo. Oh, now, Kilted, you can just kind of bowl and, card that off. Yes, I could, but he doesn't want to change the finish. So I'm just going to get in here and neutralize all this. And some that's up in here, you see, and go from there. But while we were looking at this, I noticed 2 things. One was going to be something that I thought was going to be really difficult. One that I thought was going to be pretty simple. So the first thing that I noticed, the bolt, right? Which I love this design. Your thumb can really just hook on there really well. But we're missing something. What could it be? That's right, the extractor. I thought finding an extractor was going to be difficult, and it kind of was, okay? Now, I was seeing these extractors for sale in Europe, and once you've done the exchange rate and that kind of thing, not doing shipping, importation, all that crap, just what they were asking for the part, it was going to be about 150 bucks. And I was sitting here going, God, that's a lot just for an extractor. So I kept digging, right? And lo and behold, what did I find? A whole nother bolt, complete, right? With the extractor. So here's with the extractor. Here's without the extractor. Okay? Now, what I am going to do before I give this gun back to said customer is I am going to blueprint this extractor, okay? Because all of this is the extractor, right? Not just the head here, the whole thing. So you can see, whole thing, right? And yes, this thing's nasty, dirty, so on and so forth. But I'm going to blueprint it. Why? Just in case. Because he might come in next year saying, hey, this one broke. Or I might not have anybody for the next 50 years that needs one. But if they do, I've got the blueprint for it and we can make it, right? Okay. So I'm going to take, because this bolt that I bought with the extractor is in kind of rough shape, right? Compared to the original. So I'm just going to swap the extractors because the bolt he gave does not match the gun anyways. So he was perfectly fine with just replacing the whole bolt. But, yeah. Now, what did I pay for this? I'd have to double check, okay? But I want to say it was around like $150, $175 for a complete bolt, right? Yeah. I made out like a song. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. I made out like a song, right? I could not pay for it fast enough. You understand? So, yeah, that came out really lucky. Now, the other thing was a glaring thing that really stood out to me was damage to the stock. Let me show you. So, usually on these Krags, right? Got to sit here and cover up all the customer's information here. Hold on. Just crumble that up. Usually on these Krags, it breaks somewhere right around in here, right? Because this is kind of a weak spot, right? But as you see, this one's solid. This one's in good shape. You know, it's got some oil build-up, maybe some Cosmoline, right? But all in all in good shape. I can clean this, right? Oh, look, front barrel band, right? Just nasty. I can clean that up. Ruh-roh. Now, do you know why that was done? That's what's known as a duffel cut. So you see it a lot with like German Mausers, things of that nature. Because what would happen is GIs, the way it's been explained to me and the way that I understand it by reading on the subject, is you were allowed to liberate things, right? Then, so that was great. That was wonderful, right? But you were only allowed to liberate so much, and you had to get your commanding officer to sign off on it. But if you sit here and cut it, take it out of its stock, to where everything gets shoved into your duffel bag, that's got your clothes and supplies and everything that's strapped to your back when you're getting back on the ship to go home, people didn't check that much. So yeah, that's what happened here, right? So I'm just going to show you again. There we go. Now, it was with a thin blade, right? And like on this side, you can really see where the saw kind of ate it up a little bit, right? Now, I asked the customer, is he really, like, this needs to get fixed, but is he really worried about the correct length? I says, because I might have to sit here and cut, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 inch wedge to put in there, and it's going to stand out. He's not worried about it. Now, if it would have been cut more in the barrel band here, yes, I would have added material here, right, to make it the correct length. If it would have been on the front one, same thing, right, because the barrel band would hide all that. No barrel bands here to hide this, okay? Now, if you're still going to sit here and notice that there's a crack or a line or a cut, right, but from 15 feet away, it's not going to be that noticeable. So doing this is really easy, and I could tell that somebody probably thought about doing it in the past, is because here on the stock, right, is a hole. And it's on the main stock as well. Now, you're going to be sitting here thinking, oh, that's for a cleaning rod. Well, there's two issues with that. One, this is not perfectly centered. Nor is it on this one, right? Also, these holes combined are only about 1 inch to 1.25 inches deep. That's it. So that tells me that somebody at some point in time thought about it, but then just decided not to do it. Why? Who knows? Okay? But basically what I'm going to do is clean out these holes. Make sure there's nothing in it, right? Because this is not an area that's going to take a lot of recoil. I'm not going to do a lot of work, all right? What I've got is some spring steel here, rolled spring steel. I'm going to sit here and scuff this up, cut it to length, and I'm going to AccuGlass everything. Now, for those of you that might not know what AccuGlass is, it is a 2-part epoxy, technically 3 parts when you add the dye. And you mix it up. You've got about 20 minutes. You wet both sides with AccuGlass. So this will get wiped with AccuGlass. That side will get wiped with AccuGlass. And then I clamp everything together. Now the hard part, and I'm going to have to step back for this just so I can get it all in camera, right, is I'm going to have to clamp from down here all the way to the tip, okay, just so I can get pressure this way. If that didn't break it, nope, we're good. So I need pressure this way, okay? But what I also have to be mindful of is this thing trying to roll, okay? So what I'm going to do as well is get a wooden dowel, essentially, that'll fit in that barrel channel. And then I'm going to wrap it in, okay? So that'll help prevent a roll and it being clamped long ways will keep it tight and secure. I'm not going to show every step of that. I'll probably show once I have it all wrapped up and that kind of thing. And then, yeah, I'm going to put the gun together. I'm going to check headspace on it. And then go from there. Now, unfortunately, I do not have any ammunition for this. I could order some, but it would take several weeks to get here. And I don't like waiting that time. And it is also extremely expensive. Now, the customer states that he reloads for it already. But with my shop, I can't trust somebody's reloads, right? Because if the gun goes kablooey when I go out here and test fire, or, you know, later on when he's out shooting it and it goes kablooey, was it the gun's fault or was it the ammo's fault? You see what I'm saying? So I don't do reloads with customer guns. So yeah, that's all I got for right now. Like I said, when I get this all tacked up, I'll show you. And then once everything's all together. All right, so I went to film it actually all wrapped up and that kind of thing, but it looked like garbage, being honest. The video quality looked like absolute garbage, so this is the end result of it, okay? Now, it's not stupid smooth yet, because I'm going to get to that. You see, I just went in with a chisel and just very lightly skimmed it, okay? I'm going to come in and sand this. Oh my God, you're going to sand it. I'm going to make it to where it's hard to tell that it was even there, okay? That's the whole goal. Now, granted, at this level, yeah, you'll be able to see it. But at this level, you're probably not, okay? Unless you're really looking for it. Now, am I going to go after it with 40 grit sandpaper? Hell no. This is 320. Whenever I do stock work, I'm starting usually at 320. But I'm just going to just knock this off. Because the main issue that we have is this is a slope, so it's thin and gets thicker, right? And since we had a section cut out then that kind of messed with the angle. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to blend that angle back in a little bit. Now I'm not sitting here putting gobs of pressure on this, right? Oh my God, but you're doing it with the metal pieces in there. You're gonna nick the metal. You see it lightened up a fair amount. Don't worry, we'll fix that. So let me keep sanding, and then y'all will be able to see that. I'll show you me putting oil and that kind of stuff on it, and yeah. Alrighty, so we got it, right? And you see it's still just a little light. But this is a mixture, an oil mixture that I do. It is primarily an oil-based finish called Gunstock. I forget who makes it, but I mix a few other oils and colors in there with a lot of this old Milsurb stuff, just because I feel like it matches better. Okay. And so I just sit here and rub it on, try not to get it on the metal. Oh, well, if you took it out of the stock, you wouldn't have to. Chill. Okay? Just chill. Hey, why are you wearing gloves? Well, because I don't want to be painted this color. Alright? So, see, it's got a lot of the red in it and everything else. Now I'm going to let this dry, put on a second coat, put on a third coat, so on and so forth. And then, honestly, all that's left to do with this is pull it out of the stock, clean all the metal bits, just to get a lot of the rust and oil and grime and that kind of stuff that I've already shown, and then it's done. But this thing is just cool. Let me take this glove off. I'll just have to try to remember. Because, like, even the front sight to me is just fascinating. And then this is a barrel sleeve. Think a lot like the commission rifle of the Germans. The rear sight here is rudimentary. And I'm going to have to loosen that up. Customer didn't tell me about that, and I didn't check it before now. But I'll loosen that up, that's not a problem. And then, this is the only Krag, I think, I could be wrong, that the gate actually flips open, like so. The American one and the Norway ones flip down, if I remember correctly. This one actually flips to this forward, so that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. And of course the spring in here is working quite well. It's not showing up that well on video. Let me try to turn it, maybe that'll help. Yeah, but the spring follower works well. And then the safety is something else that I find just absolutely fascinating, right? So it's on safe right now, okay? But to remove it off of safe, you have to depress this button and move it to the rear. Let me do that again, okay? But what's also interesting, as you can see, it's got a claw that goes over the bolt to lock the bolt handle, right? I just think that's cool. And then of course with this large cocking piece, you can actually wrap your thumb around it and let the spring tension down. Something else that that was good for is if you went to fire a round and it went click, no bang, you could manually cock it just to let it back down again. So yeah, like I said, it's just, even this side to me just looks slicker, right? Very just smooth, right? Compared to the American Krags. Now, the trigger pull on this is not great. You see what I'm saying? But it's also not, it's not the worst thing I've ever felt, but it's far from the best. But considering this is a 1898, right? So over 100 years, I think it's pretty good. Now, this one has had a bit of a life. I'm trying to get it, but you can see it looks like somebody tried to get everything off with a pipe wrench. So yeah, that's weird. But anyways, I will take a video after everything is said and done so you can see it and go over a little bit of the history of this model weapon. Okay, so we got finished with the Danish Krag here. Now you can see it's still just a little bit lighter, but honestly at 10 yards away, you wouldn't be able to see it. So, we are finished with this. I did want to go over a little bit of the history and that kind of thing. Understand, I don't have any 8x58 rimmed cartridges to shoot this thing. I know the customer is going to reload some for this, but I do not shoot reloads out of guns. It's just a safety thing, okay? So there's not going to be any shooting. So if you don't want to sit here and listen to history, I hope you've enjoyed. But anyways, so we've got, of course, that fixed. We got the rear sight. It's still a little tight here in the middle, but it actually moves now, right? We've sat here and replaced the extractor. We've done some head spacing on it, so she's good to go. Now, history on this. The Denmark did a lot of testing. A lot of testing, okay? Dare I say it, and I'll wait for the comments, right? The Danes did more testing than the Americans did. There, I said it, okay? But there are a few differences on these Krags that are different from the American and different from the Norwegian. So, first up, all the way here at the end. First off, we have a barrel jacket. The barrel is not this big. You can see here how thick the barrel is. This is a barrel jacket. Your front sight is going to be the real telltale. This is different from everybody else, okay? Then we move it back, and the Danish ones are the only ones that flip forward, okay? All the rest of them flip down, okay? Straight bolt handle, and then we look at the cocking piece. The Danes are the only ones that had this large cocking piece. Now, according to some of what I've read, I don't know how true it is. The reason they went with such a large cocking piece is because the original safety was a half-cock notch, which all of us now know that's not a good idea, because you get a 17, 18-year-old guy who isn't paying attention, and he's just really flustered, and he's really thinking about whatever, right? And he's going to sit here and go to let this down. Oh, it just went off, right? So yeah, that's not a good idea. Now, they adopted these on July 3rd, 1889, okay? And then in 1910, they did a little bit of updating, okay? And the main thing is this is now your safety, okay? So you push it forward, and you have a claw here that actually goes over the bolt and locks the bolt, right? But something else that it does is, with a lot of safeties from this day, they would just disengage the trigger, right? So either it was a block that moved in, front of the sear or move the trigger slightly. That's not what happened here. This one is locked up. I cannot muscle this thing and squeeze the trigger, okay? So, yeah, that's a little different. So, something else that are on all Krags, I think even the Norwegian ones have it, is a shutoff for the magazine. So when it's down, the magazine is cut off, and this is a single shot rifle at that time. So it really is just open, reach in my pocket, grab a bullet, load bullet, close bolt, squeeze trigger at bad guy, right? And then when I'm told to, I flip this up, and now I can work from the magazine. So yeah, but that's about it. Like I said, we've done all the work to it. I think it's still cool that it still has unit markings in it. And yeah, I'm going to sit here and call the customer and tell him that it's ready for pickup. And I know he's going to be overly excited. I know that he's been loading up a few rounds, still in black powder. But considering, once again, this was adopted in 1889, and it stayed in service until the Germans invaded in 1940. Now, there are several different variants of the Danish Krags. So, of course, you have the standard infantry one with the barrel shroud, the bayonet lug, straight bolt, no pistol grip. This flips forward, right? Then you had a cavalry carbine, which was cut about where this one was. So right in here, no barrel shroud. Originally, they didn't have bayonet lugs. I know they added those later. Then you had like an artillery and an infantry carbine. Both of those came out after 1924. And they're shorter, right around where this barrel band is here. So it's still a good size rifle, but it's a carbine. Anyways, the main differences between them is the sling swivels. I know the artillery one had another one. I'd have to double check. And then what I thought was interesting in researching these is they even had a sniper model. Yeah, starting in like 28, right? Now, the sniper model, I have not been able to find scopes that they put on there. But what I do know is it was basically the full-length rifle. Instead of a barrel shroud, it had a heavier barrel. Rather than this little rinky-dink rear sight, it had a micrometer rear sight mounted a little bit further back. And the front sight was hooded, but still chambered in the 8mm cartridge. Which, granted, the Germans ran 8mm. So that's not that weird, but a 58 rimmed. I don't know. I just kind of see that as odd. But yeah, it was great. Now, they didn't make many of those. I have seen people try to fake them, and they always get the rear sight wrong. Every single time. So yeah, I have seen pictures of original ones, but I've never held an original sniper in my hand. So yeah, I wish I could test fire this bad boy, because for its age and everything else, this trigger is still beautiful. It really and truly is. And with it being as long as it is, I could definitely see doing some deer hunting with this. Right? I mean, it's just a little rifle. Right? So yeah, anyways, I hope y'all have enjoyed this. I do apologize that all of this had to be filmed on my cell phone. I've got my computer back up and running now. That was fun. So in the future, I know I've got to do a video on the Vickers and a few other videos that I'm going to do. So watch for it. But anyways, I hope y'all have enjoyed this, and as always, y'all have a good one.